Hey, everybody, welcome to the Cyber Monday show. We have an absolute banger in store. So definitely say hello down in the chat. If you have any questions, be sure to have them ready. I'm very excited to dive right in. So we're going to get started after this. Kind of low-key a bop, not gonna lie. I'm gonna go ahead and jump on with Makeshift. How are you, good sir?
Dude, I'm awake. I'm amped. I'm ready for this. I don't know why. I got some like pent up energy or something. Not so sleepy.
It's prime time. Hey, we've been nicknamed the Monday night pregame show, so we got to get that energy going. And hey, we got an absolutely exciting show today because we got, again, as I mentioned on Twitter, a living legend, ladies and gentlemen, Davin Jackson.
Y'all got to stop with the living legend, man. Seriously. No,
How are you?
Nothing much, man. Listen, I know I have the reputation for the biggest intro beat in the podcast, but I think I might need to step it up. That I'm sitting there, I'm bopping. That's a whole vibe in there.
Gotta kick it up with a bang. We're all coming off a long Monday, just gotta like shake the shoulders a little bit. It's a podcast.
I was in there. I had to remind myself it was a Monday. I was like, I'm about to pour up and just vibe out. And then I was like, oh shit, I'm on the show. Oh, I can't say. Can I say shit? I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's fine. We got the bop already flowing, so it's all good.
Yes. What's going on, people? I see the chat is popping in here. I see a few people. I don't want to beat you to it. Sorry, I'm used to doing the hosting thing, but I see Alexandria. I see Tish. See Infinite Logins. What's going on, people? Conda, what's going on, sir? How you doing? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Oh no, you're good. Everybody, keep throwing the hellos in the chat. We'll have you popping up on the screen here for people watching replay, and you guys will live in immortality. That's kind of a big thing to say on YouTube, but anyway. Davin, well, first off, thank you again for jumping on. Everybody that's watching should know who you are. In the event that anybody hasn't become acquainted with you yet, do you mind just kind of jumping through, your time in cybersecurity so far, Alpha Cybersecurity, kind of, all of that stuff?
Okay, so you got about an hour, right? All right, so I'm gonna keep it short. So my name is Davin Jackson, also known as DJax Alpha on Twitter and Instagram, and yeah, I think it's just DJax Alpha there. But I run Alpha Cybersecurity. Right now is literally just a blog and content creation site. I am also the host of a little podcast called Infosec Unplugged that's live every Thursday. I've been in cybersecurity now probably about 6-7 years, maybe 8 years. I don't know. I can't count. 2020 has been felt like 4 years. I've been in tech now for about 16 years. Yeah, that's about right. About 15. Yeah, about 16 years. Been in tech, cybersecurity, about half of that. So about 8 years now. Started off as an aircraft mechanic. Like my story has just been all over the place. I was actually an aircraft mechanic in the military, came out, and there were no fighter jets in the civilian world. So tried my hand at a whole bunch of different things. I was an electrician for a little while. I actually got to work on like the first smart houses when they were like integrated houses with like a big ass remote control. But between falling off of ladders and not liking companies holding my value or my future, it led me to kind of go back into tech with the help of my wife, she was my girl at the time, but my wife putting her foot in my ass and telling me that I had to do something that was going to stick. So shout out to her. I love you, babe. But yeah, like I said, I always liked tech. I always liked to fidget and with stuff. Like I said, my grandmother, God rest her soul, used to let me just take things apart as long as I put them back together by the time my dad picked me up at 5 o'clock. Otherwise, I was getting my behind kicked by her and him. And I was going to be honest with you, my dad was 6'5", but I was scared of my grandmother. So
most people are.
if anybody has a Jamaican or Caribbean grandmother, you know. So, but yeah, like I said, it was, like I said, it was there. where I really knew I wanted to get into it. When I got older, started looking into things like sports and girls and all the other things that were cool. And, being a nerd wasn't one of them. So I kind of I guess suppressed that. So that's kind of where I veered away for it for a little while. And then, like I said, when we came back, when my wife was like, what is it that you like to do? And I'm like, I like tech stuff. And I just didn't, and I realized I can get certifications and stuff like that. I did. And I worked my way up from A+ to sysadmin, MCSA, MCSE certs with Microsoft. And then I knew I wanted to transition into cybersecurity. I just didn't know how. And then I was working in a school system and came across a whole bunch of issues. So I was kind of, blue team incident response in the beginning, trying to be more on the preventative side of things. And then I came across vulnerability management, which then led me to pen testing. And it's kind of just been, I haven't looked back. So took like $3 or $4 grand because my job didn't want to pay for it because there was nothing in the budget. Took about $3-4 grand of my own money, drove down to Virginia for a week after doing a lot of self-studying. And I went to a hands-on boot camp taught by Keytron Evans from Infosec Institute. And like I said, it just went from there. For one, seeing that I was good at it, and two, seeing someone who looked like me in that space that was there, that was able to kind of sit with me until one. I mean, there were times we were up to 1 a.m. and just shooting the shit. So it was just like, man, this is awesome. So, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I've been doing pen testing and stuff like that ever since. Now I'm in the AppSec space. That's a different beast, but it's a good one. It's interesting. So I focus more on now doing more AppSec stuff and API hacking. I don't know if you guys saw my my talk I gave with Sands on the OWASP API top 10, but that's kind of been my niche now, if that's what you want to call it, more web app API hacking type things. So
that's fantastic. I mean, a long storied and I mean, just touching a lot of different areas, throughout your career. I think that's, pretty sick. I'd love to talk about the shirt. There's a comment down in the comment section.
Wait, so hold on. Yeah, I see Tish. Tell him I said what's up, and I got to get him on the show. And I saw Harley Infinite Login said, "Would you say paying $4K out of pocket is worth it for a boot camp nowadays?" Not if you don't have the experience, right? If you're gonna pay $4K, make sure you do your own work first. Because too many people are jumping into these things and have no idea. When they go day one, they're like, all right, fire up a Kali Linux box. And they're like, wait, what? Or run an Nmap scan. What's that? So do your homework, do your due diligence first. I like boot camps as to supplement, right? So for example, I tell people, if you have the opportunity, if you're going for example, if you go for your CISSP, what worked for me, disclaimer, study all of it, right? Study all of it on your own. Get the CISSP Sunflower. It's a document with a cram sheet. Get all of that. And then maybe about a month before you test, take a week-long boot camp. And now you have the instructor who can kind of give you certain tips on the side, but you already have the knowledge. So you're not walking into it blind. So it's something to complement the foundation that you already built. So yes, 4K out of pocket if you can afford it. Don't fall into these things where they're like, oh, give us 4 or 5K and we'll get you certified, and now you're only paper certified. That's my spiel on it. Spend don't go broke on boot camps if you don't know what the hell the boot camp going to teach you.
Yeah, amen on that one.
Yeah, that's good. Do you think that, a company, say a company hires you on for one role, do you think, are companies pretty willing generally to help financially support paying for some of those boot camps? Because 4K is a pretty hefty price point, especially for somebody if they're coming in from, a job with a lower salary.
So, all right, let's shake the tree a little bit. So Andrew says, "Oh, smack. Listen, I'm not the GOAT. I'm just a kid from Bridgeport trying to get by and feed his family. I'm not trying to be put on no pedestal. I'm not trying to be an influencer or one of the gurus on Infosec Twitter. I'm sorry, I don't want to start shit on your show."
Let's get into it.
Get after it. But now let's shake the tree. If you are invested in a company that's not invested in you, then take your investment elsewhere. And right now in the field that we're in, now's the opportunity to do that, right? Mm-hmm. And here's a hot take that I get a lot of heat for because people still cry about loyalty and shit like that. I had somebody who I worked for tell me there is no loyalty in tech. Mess me up. I'm literally sitting in a meeting with him and he said, there's no loyalty in tech. This is the man who's literally writing my checks. It was a small business. I ran his business like it was mine. Like he would go on vacation and because I took pride in it, right? Because I was loyal. And sure enough, about 6 months later, I had to go get my son from school, from daycare one day. He was really sick and he was like, yo, your kids aren't my responsibility. He's like, that's not my priority. My priority is this business. And I was like, you're right. So I went, I kept my mouth shut for about 2-3 months, went on vacation for my wedding. And while I was on my honeymoon, accepted a new job and came back. And he was like, yeah, so you're back, man. Great. We can get the ball rolling. And I was like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm out. Right. But it was, like I said, it was a lesson learned because I put so much time and energy in this man's business thinking that it was going to come back and that he would invest in me. And in turn, he just literally looked at me like, nah, you're just a means to an end. So that taught me the lesson there. Honestly, I love the school system I was working at. Had they not BS'd me and finagled, and tried to fudge the numbers and do all that stuff with the budget, I probably would have still been there. I probably wouldn't have been making the money I make now. but again, why did I leave? Because once it got to a point where they weren't willing to invest in me and I had to invest in myself, it was like, all right, cool, I can do that. Right. I was saving all my money when you, so for example, you have a job where they'll reimburse you, right? Or they give you little salary bumps. What I did was, and I might be giving away one of the talks I'm working on, I saved all of it, right? So if my budget was X, I kept that budget no matter what raise I got. And what I did was I convinced them to reimburse me for any exam that I passed. So I literally got like 6-7 certs off of $200, right? Because I took the first 200 and I got reimbursed and I took it, paid another one, took it, paid another one, and I kept doing that. But as I was doing that, anytime I got a little raise or a little bump, I just banked it. So now when I knew I wanted to make that turn into cybersecurity and I said, hey, you guys gonna help? And they were like, no. All right, cool. I got this money saved in the bank. And I took that and invested in myself. And like I said, I made that money back in 6 months because once I did that and I got some more hands-on experience, because again, the hands-on experience is important. And I was able to leverage that into a job. My salary literally doubled overnight. So now I may have lost out on $4,000, but I doubled my salary in I'm lying, about 8 months later, almost about 8 months later. So these are things that you have to kind of leverage when you do. So, and then, you just keep building. You just got to keep building. Right. And this is the part that they don't tell you on Infosec Twitter when they talk about the bag. They don't tell you the shit that you have to go through and the money you have to save and the side jobs you have to take and all of that. And I see XSS Rat says it's also a risk though, but I didn't look at it like it was a risk because I knew that I wanted to get into pen testing. So either way, I knew I was good, right? I may have not, even if I didn't get the job 8 months later, I knew I was moving into that field.
Yeah.
And if I didn't, I was going to do what I had to do, even if I had to leverage it and try to figure out how to go out on my own. Truth be told, I was a lot younger then. I didn't know how hard it would have been, but I knew at that time that I had reached my ceiling doing sysadmin work. Right? You can only configure so many Active Directory environments. Like to me, like when you can call me and I'm not even in front of the computer and I can troubleshoot the situation for you, I get bored. And if once I get bored, you lost me. So to me, it was a necessary evil that I had to do. I didn't, like I said, it was money that I had saved off to the side. So it's not like, I didn't pay the mortgage, or I didn't pay the light bill, or my kids didn't eat. That was just that was like my play money that I saved off to the side. And I was like, okay, I can get these video games or these Funko Pops or whatever. And I said, nah, let me spend it on something else. And like I said, luckily it worked out.
Yeah, there's a couple things. One, there's like all this talk about what's called, like, they call it the Great Resignation. I don't know if you guys have heard about this.
Mm-hmm.
And like or like, I've heard so many different descriptions of it. One of those is like, people resigning, just basically YOLOing, and like, they're taking a year off to go travel. A lot of people are leaving organizations because their organizations are calling them back in person, but they realize like remote work is way more viable. And also, a lot of people it's way more complicated, obviously, than what it's generally being portrayed. But to your point, a major issue is, people are realizing that there are companies out there that are willing to take a more proactive role in investing in you, and there are companies that are not. And the people that are in the companies that are not, they're the ones that are resigning, and they're trying to find those companies that are. And so I'm kind of curious to see how companies, evolve. And then kind of one of the other things you mentioned was, you knew that you wanted to get into pen testing, and you budgeted. I guess two things out of that. One is, in the Army, they talk about having like a 5-year plan, and you actually, like, you write it out and you show, like, by this time I want to have it. And it's not, 100%, you can change it literally any time, but it kind of shows that you have an idea. In 5 years, I'd like to be here. Here's how I'm going to work up to it. And it sounds like you kind of did that. How did your time in the military kind of help you, get to that, or think in that direction? And then with budgeting, there's a lot of threads here. So let me just pick which one that works for you. But budgeting is definitely one that I think we probably should get talked about a bit more in the InfoSec space, because we definitely don't, because it's really important, especially whenever it comes to like investing in yourself, like you said.
Okay, so for one, with the Great Resignation, I think of two things that come to mind. Remember about a year and a half ago when everybody was complaining, when they were like, we should raise the minimum wage, right? And everybody was like, oh, people who flip burgers shouldn't be making $15, $16 an hour, right? I don't know what side of the fence everybody is on it, but I do think people should be able to survive, right? Is flipping burgers a technical skill? Maybe not. But I don't think anybody should be forced to do any type of indentured servitude. That's just my take on it. Everybody should be able to work something, especially when you have millionaires and billionaires who don't do shit and are literally making billions of dollars just because they tweet about it. So that whole system's broken. But I'd say that to say those same people who said we can't have we can't have you making $15 an hour flipping burgers are literally paying people now $100 just to come in for an interview, are literally offering $1,000 if you stay with the company 3 to 6 months, are literally, I drove by McDonald's the other day and they said, we'll give you a brand new iPhone if you get hired. So you're finding that now you're finding these incentives. Why? Because they didn't value the worth of those people. And now with the Great Resignation, you have people who are like, hey, I don't need to go into work and deal with this crap every day. Especially when you have some people who, well, again, I don't know what side of the fence you're on with this, but when you have people who are making more money off of unemployment than they were off of their job, and then all this time off, they probably learned new skills. They probably said, hey, okay, well, the one thing 2020 showed us that I think was popular was that I think is popular is that these companies can be gone just like that. So if you don't have a skill that's transferable, or you don't have a like learning a trade or something like that, you're screwed. So now what did these people do? They invested their time into learning these skills, and now they're making the transition. And now they have value in themselves. Like I said, people need to work, people need to get paid. Hopefully they figure it out, get into cybersecurity. Now, be careful. Companies desperate to hire usually have a reason to be desperate. Absolutely. But this is why I said, but this also goes back to my thing about there's no loyalty. So use them just like they're going to use you. If you died tomorrow, your job would be posted before they told the company that you died.
Oh yeah.
Right? If you died tomorrow, your job be posted before lunch. And then towards the end of the day, they would go, oh yeah, by the way, such and such passed away. Our condolences. Let's chip in some flowers and and sign a card. Okay. Yeah. So if you got to work at a company for 3 months until you find something better, again, you don't have to follow me. You don't have to follow what I say. But again, if you're living, if we're talking about surviving and doing what you got to do until you can do better, that's what if I follow the lead of the company I work for. If my company shows me that they care about me, then I'm gonna care about the company I work for. That's it. Now, budgeting. This is a major thing again when we talk about the bag, right? Because you have a lot of people who probably came from a situation where they're not used to making 6 figures or close to 6 figures or even 75,000 or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And I tell people all the time, it's one thing to get the bag, but it's another to keep the bag and secure the bag, right? Because if you go and you bust your behind for how many years, and now you get a job that pays you, let's say $80,000, right? And the first thing you do is now you run out and go get a brand new car. You run out and you get these credit cards. You're doing this, you're doing that, because now you have this money, and now you done put yourself in debt. What are you gonna do? That extra money that you're making is now all tied up. So now you're forced to, now I need to go try to do something else. And this is the cycle that people get caught up in that, again, they don't tell you about. So it's one, like I said, and furthermore, if you don't get the bag the right way, in 6 months, you're gonna be right back down there. So for my folks who are following the people on LinkedIn who are like, oh, what certifications can you get? I can get you all these certifications in less than 6 months, and you're just getting paper certified. Oh, I'm AWS. I got this. I got my OSCP. I got this, and you didn't earn it. You don't know what's actually in the certification. You just knew what you needed to know to pass. And let's say you go get a job, and at your 6-month review, they're going to look at you and go, I thought you said you were qualified in all of this.
Yep.
And just like I said, there's no loyalty, and most of these jobs are at will employment. So they can fire your ass for no reason. So now you went from, I make $80,000 a year, but you basically flubbed you fudged your resume because you ran off and followed whoever you wanted to do on Twitter and finagled your way to the bag, and now you fumbled it. Now you're making nothing. And the cybersecurity community ain't that big, so people gonna talk, especially when you need references. So now if someone goes, oh, do you know Caleb? Yeah, I know Caleb. That mother lied on and said he was he said he was super certified.
I knew it.
I'm not. No, do not.
Guilty.
Right? So this is why I follow 2 mantras I always tell myself. Always bet on yourself and do the work. Right? Because you have to bet on yourself in the world of imposter syndrome and Infosec Twitter and YouTube and all these people who are out here like, oh, look at this $5,000 bug I made, or look at this RCE I did. And you're trying to figure out just how to get by, you get lonely because now you feel like everybody is above you. But you have to, that's where always bet on yourself kicks in, because you have to know that you're here for a reason. You've gotten this far because you deserve to be here. Unless you did that LinkedIn bullshit, then no, you don't deserve to be here, and you should feel bad about yourself. Fuck it. But if you did actually do the work, then you won't have to worry about it. You can look back. Like anytime I go through imposter syndrome about once a week. Seriously, about once a week, I look at what you guys are doing. I look at like people like Alyssa Miller. I look at people like Alyssa, both the Alyssas, Alyssa Knight. I look at what they're doing. I look at Philip Wiley. I look at all these people who I'm lucky enough to say I can actually speak to personally and actually have their numbers in my phone. But I look at what they're doing and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yep.
But then I can look back at my wall and go, oh yeah, that's right. I was sleeping on this floor when the carpet wasn't as soft because I sat here trying to get my certifications. I sat here and I sacrificed time away from my wife and my children, who I love dearly, to get to the point where we are. I busted my ass to get out of Bridgeport, Connecticut, to provide for my family, all because I sat here and I deserve to be here. So always bet on yourself and do the work.
Yeah, 110%, man. I mean, I'm another perfect example, and I use this not to like brag or boast or anything, but I use it to, again, like what you're doing, like show people if you put in the work, good things will happen to you. I mean, just 6 months ago, I was working as help desk, but about a year or so ago, I got laid off from my job for 3 months. And I did what everybody else did, during the start of the pandemic. I was like, I'm going to play video games and I'm going to rot my brain out because I'm getting paid, $400 or $500 a week off of the government. I don't need to do anything. And it lasted for about 2 weeks before I was literally just like, man, I'm really bored. Like I'm a very technical person. I got to engage my brain doing something.
Right.
And I just sat back and I was like, oh, okay, well, I've got an associate's degree in information assurance and security. Might as well try to do something with it. And went on Udemy and pulled up Cyber Mentor's practical ethical hacking course. I was like, screw it. I'll give it a shot. What do I got to lose? Maybe $30. So went on there and fell in love with it. Like was obsessed with it. When you pop your first shell on a box.
Oh God, it's euphoric.
Oh, it's like crack, dude. I was
euphoric.
Up till like 1 a.m. continuing. I'm just like, I can't get enough of this. This is insane.
We were talking about meth in the pre-show, and if you're watching this, don't ask why we were talking about meth in the pre-show. That's totally irrelevant. But meth has a quarter the potency of popping your first shell. Just saying.
No, but there's something about doing it on your own, right? Because I always tell people, for the first 2 boxes you work on, do it with a write-up side by side, so you can understand what's happening in the process. But that very first one that you get, like for me, it was actually in the Infosec boot camp that we took. I should say it was the first difficult one, because there was easy ones, but one where you actually had to really put shit together and figure certain things out, and you had to use certain tools that you're not accustomed to using. And then getting your first, like finding a race condition, like that was the first time I ever had to use a race condition exploit. But when I did that, it was just like I ran around the house and it was like I tell people all the time, you ever see the meme where it's the guys standing on the podium and you had one guy popping the champagne and all of that, and he was acting was me. That was literally me. Because how Keytron does it, you get the CEH and he's like, yeah, that's great, but now I'm gonna give you this hands-on certification that you have to do, and you can't even get to the hands-on portion without passing the written. So now you take a second written test. If you pass that, then you get the hands-on portion of the test. And the hands-on portion of the test, you have almost like, I think it was like it's longer than OSCP. I don't want to break NDA, but it's longer than 24 hours, and they give you different machines, and you have to figure out different ways to get it, whatever. But when I did that, it was just like I was literally like, oh, I made it. You can't tell me shit. You can't tell me nothing.
That's where you're doing like the Patrick Mahomes, thing. You're just like dusting it
off.
off.
You couldn't tell me nothing. You couldn't. And then I got on my first real engagement, and I was like, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. But yeah, it comes with the territory.
That's so good. I mean, that's all stuff that it's just, especially, I mean, I'm relatively like still early in the career, like this is going to be my second job. So it's like, this is all still like helpful to me just as much as I hope it's helpful for people that are watching. I really want to know more about this Infosec Twitter shirt, because I keep looking at it and I'm like, is this like for sale? That's awesome.
Yes, it is. I'll put it in the chat. Yes, it's for sale on my TeePublic store. So here it goes. Merch. There you go. Yeah, I actually made it over the summer, designed it over the summer with all the nonsense that goes on Infosec Twitter. So it felt
there's a lot of nonsense that goes on there.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
Speaking of meth, let's talk about some of the nonsense, because I really, this is actually like real talk. This is one of those things that like, it gets me a little freaked out. I don't know. He gone. I totally like, I'm kidding. He's like, I'll talk about, there you go. No, this is like legit, like one of those things that gets me a little nervous for people that are wanting to break into the industry. And like Parker Dot, for instance, had, I really hope I pronounce his last name correctly. I should know that by now. But anyway, someone in one of his spaces kind of mentioned that, seeing some of the drama makes it kind of disheartening for people that are trying to break into the industry.
It was either Tish or Alexandria. I think both of them dropped that in there.
Yeah. And I was kind of like nervous about that, but whenever they said it, I was just kind of like, oh crap, like it's happening. So what are some ways? Okay, it was Tish.
Yes, like I said, they both said things that struck a chord with me.
Yeah. So what I guess. We're never going to be able to get rid of the drama. It's just the way Twitter is. It's the way social media is, unfortunately. But how can we steward people towards the right resources and away from the not right resources, and get as detailed as you would like? Let's just speak openly here.
How much time you got now?
So
I got till 8:30. That's my hard stop time.
I was gonna say this is why my show goes over. But a part of me lets people find out for themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a part of me where certain people might just be a little doing the most, and if I am invested in seeing that person succeed, you will get a message from me that will just say, just be mindful, right? Because, and for the record, this has nothing to do with Make or Caleb. If y'all got problems, bring it to me. In the words of Professor Black Ops, I'll take the smoke.
I'm toxic. Just avoid me at all costs.
So let's be real for a minute. Let's be real for a minute. There's a lot of legitimate bullshit that goes on in the InfoSec space, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of gatekeeping. There's a lot of racism. There's a lot of sexism. There's a lot of just everything, right? Mm-hmm. And over the course of the last 1.5 to 2 years, at least, because that's when I've really got engaged, I've started to see people really make a concerted effort to make a change in that, whether it's to share the mic in cyber, whether it's people like Alyssa, like Make, like you, Caleb, like JB, like Ty Wilson, like Tracy Mayleaf, Infosec Sherpa. There are people who are really, really trying to change that narrative, because you have people who are legitimately being held back because they are not the normal make that you see in this community traditionally. However, there are also those who use that and weaponize it.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to tweet something out today, and I said, nah, let me not. But I guess you're going to get the exclusive because I like you.
I appreciate it.
Over the course of the last 3 to 6 months, I've come to realize that if you really it seems like if you really want to boost your engagement and get yourself out there, be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Be wrong. Be wrong, be toxic, be a dickhead, right? Why? Because that seems to bring the attention of everybody, who then is going to say, nah, that's wrong. Nah, that's not the way to move, right? And usually what happens when they get corrected? They play the victim card. Oh, you're attacking me because I'm this, or because I'm a female, or because I'm whatever, right? And although it is true that's who they made up, that's their makeup, they are throwing rocks and not and hiding their hand. Right? You can't come out here and motherfucker this person, cuss out this person, threaten to dox this person, call this person out their name, and then as soon as someone tells you, you know what, you ain't shit, now all of a sudden your fifis are hurt. FOH, sorry.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, these are the people these are the people who get the following. These are people who have thousands of followers. And I don't care about the numbers. I care about what they are putting out on their platforms, right?
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I came from Bridgeport, Connecticut, and growing up, the ones who had money were either athletes or did something illegal. You didn't see people in a professional field that looked like me. So I take it very personally when I see people, not just who look like me, but people who even came up with the financial makeup like me. If you grew up struggling, or you grew up poor or whatever, and you are legitimately trying to do things to change your life and change the outcome and possibly even build something for generations, but you're following these people who are toxic, it bothers me. Because now you're listening to them. And I don't need you to listen to me personally, right? If you choose to follow me, I'm grateful for it, and I hope I can help you in any way I can. But there are so many people who are doing the right thing that are being swept under the rug because of the nonsense on a day in and day out basis, and almost to the point where they have a cult following, where even if you tell them, hey man, that might not be the move, or that you might be wrong, they don't even have, they say a couple things and all of a sudden their followers, their sock accounts, everybody's on it. So I feel I get frustrated sometimes. And Caleb, we've talked about this offline, where I'm like,
yeah. Yep. Yeah. I want to get a hat, like one of those hats that you see, like.
Yeah, but it's serious, right? I'm not calling out any names, because
frankly, there are several. I mean, it's almost like, and they just kind of like pop up. So it's like you could, name names now, but it's like, tomorrow in a week, there's going to be other people,
Yeah.
And I guess, and again, you have some people who might not be as toxic, but they just might be wrong, but they are so stuck on that no one can correct them, that they are somehow infallible, that they can't be corrected. Right?
Well, they've convinced themselves that they're right. And it's almost like a mental thing. Like they've convinced themselves so far that they're right that they just like even the thought of them like that, even though it's like a lie, they believe in their head, no, this is right, this is true.
Right.
This kind of, I mean, this makes me think of some conversations I'll have with my dad. So he actually teaches cybersecurity, and there are times that like I'll think that I am right on like something, and like I'll be kind of like defending my case, but like he's got a PhD. I'm not going to defend my case to a PhD. Like he knows it, and like he'll have to like occasionally like just kind of grab me and be like, Caleb, be teachable, and it's like that is a thing. Like I mean, you got to just like sacrifice. That's part of being like a student, and I'm 25 years old. I'm not perfect. I'm still trying to figure this out for myself. But you got to like table the pride and be teachable, and it's not always fun and it's not always comfortable. And I think Twitter is kind of an even more uncomfortable space to do it because it's so visible. And, if you have like a lot of people that follow you, you might feel like maybe you're losing street cred if you're seen like being a student, but we're all students.
But not to cut you off, but that's where you have to put your pride to the side, right?
Yeah.
Because I have how many years of experience, but if Ty Wilson, and I'm not to name drop, but if Ty Wilson or John Breath or Marcus J. Carey or Mary Galloway call me right now and say, chill out, I'm gonna tell them this is how I feel, but I'm gonna chill out. Why? Because these are people who I respect, who I know aren't trying to do things to harm me. Right? That's the thing. You have to take it out of your mind that everybody's out to get you.
Yeah.
If you are blessed to have some people who are genuine and they're coming at you from a place of love and they're saying that might not be the move, you take that into consideration. Otherwise, you're going to be, why? You're going to be right all the time because you're going to be the only person talking to yourself, and you're going to be you're going to be in a box talking to yourself. That's it. Or you're going to have a bunch of people who are your yes men or yes women or yes people just going, yeah, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right. And guess what? None of y'all are going to advance anywhere because y'all are all sitting there. This field is about having different walks of life and different opinions.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not making it up. Like last year when I was going on one of my rants and Marcus J. Carey was like, call me. And I called him and he said, what's going on? And I vented to him for about 45 minutes and he sat there and listened and he said, okay, you done? I said, yeah. He said, good. Kill that. It's done. That's it. Right? Ty, that's why I said Ty. I look at Ty like a big brother because Ty will call me and go, yo, no, chill out. I'm like, nah, but, and he'd be like, no, chill out. And Ty can be very direct when he wants to. And he typed no. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm a chill, but if it happened again, and he's like, well, then we'll deal with it if it happens again, but chill, right? So you gotta have people that you trust and know that everybody's not out to get you. Everybody's not out to steal followers or steal your following or steal your thunder. Like at the end of the day, this shit is Twitter. It's not real life until you see people. And that's the other thing. People talk a lot of things, but you won't back that up. I'm sorry. That's where I want to go on another rant.
No, you're right. And I mean, and kind of to your point, I mean, we're not just like, teachers and students of material. Like we got to be like teachers and students of actions. And so, if we're out here like getting in like crazy fights, but also being like not budgeable and not learning, then we're really, what the message that we're conveying is that it's okay to not budge and not learn. And that's, I mean, that's untenable in cybersecurity. Like we always have to learn, and it's more than just about cybersecurity material. It might be about, being a professional or being like just a good person. We're all, kind of like, unless you're Jesus, you're not perfect. So
Right.
we all have work to do.
And I see XSS Rat says, like everyone, you should question your gurus. I like the people who I look up to don't call themselves gurus.
Yeah.
Right? The people that I respect, that I don't think I've ever heard, like I said, I don't think I've ever heard Alyssa call herself a guru. Right? I don't think I've ever heard Ty call himself a guru. I don't think I've ever heard Marcus refer to himself as a guru. I don't, people, to me, the people who start saying that they're a guru and that they know everything, to me, that's an immediate red flag. To me, that's like, all right, I'm gonna keep you at a distance, right? Because you can be wrong. You can't be right all the time, right? And like I said, and if I'm wrong and you can show me the error of my ways, like I'm not a young whippersnapper, right? Anymore. I've seen enough and been through enough to know the consequences of your actions. Whether it's in real life situations or it's on this app. I go by the rule that anything that I put out, I have to be able to stand on. And if I can't stand on it firmly, then I'm not going to speak on it. Right? That's another reason why you don't actually see me engage in a lot of the fuckery out here. Right? Because even though you might come off a certain way, you could still be right. So I sit back and I do my research. And I'll sit and I'll formulate my own opinion. And if the time comes, then I have a clip to unload. But until then, I'm going to sit back in my corner and do me, because I know the goal that I'm trying to achieve. And like I said, if I see people that I want to genuinely help, right? Like you see Tish here in the comments, right? And you see her story, you see how she's building up her stuff, right? She's being very transparent. If I see certain things to a certain point, I might just go, hey, chill out, right? There's nothing wrong with following people who are wrong if you're going to come to your own conclusion. But if you start falling down that rabbit hole, then as someone who wants to be a mentor and lead people in the right direction, then that's for me to go. Again, I'm not telling you who you can and can't follow, or who you can and can't rock with, but you just might want to be careful. You know what I'm saying? Because it gets real. It's a real slippery slope out there. So that's all.
No, you're right. And the brain's all inputs. It's IO. So if you're seeing a lot of, let me stop for a sec. If what you're inputting is all negative and is just kind of like toxic, then you're kind of gonna import that rot into your own system.
Yeah.
You really don't want to be doing that. Make out, what do you got?
Well, I mean, I'm very much of the mindset of, take the constructive criticism. There's been a number of times where I've posted something, whether I'm kind of in a heat of the moment or whatever, and I know I'm going to be touching a hot topic, and I make a comment on it. I literally tell people, I'm like, do not be afraid to call me out on something. If I say something out of, whatever, if it's wrong, please feel free, either whether it's DM or even public. Like, I honestly don't care. I prefer it to be public, because then it hits differently. If you say it behind closed doors, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, nobody else saw that, so I don't have to necessarily
keep the same energy
myself.
It's keep the same energy, right? If you put something out there publicly, then you have to be prepared for it to come back in the way that you sent it, right?
Exactly.
For me personally, I like when people do their due diligence on me. If I put out a blog or a video or something, I want someone to look at it and go, I'm skeptical. Let me go look. Because because A, it keeps me sharp, and B, when you find out that I'm right, it makes me more credible. See, that's the flip side. People always look at it like, oh, why are you trying to follow up on me? Oh, you're hating on me, or you're trying to bring me down. No, go ahead. Go ahead. If I told you to do something and I was technically wrong or fundamentally wrong somewhere, tell me. But if I'm right, I want you to also tell me as well. And usually
Yeah.
when they're silent, that's when you know they're right. Because one of the things that used to bother me the most in being in this field, and right when I first started doing blogs, is that you would have the gatekeepers and the tech bros where I felt like every time I put out a blog, I had to justify my existence for being here.
Yeah.
Every time I put out an article, well, what makes you qualified to speak on this? What experience do you have? Oh, I don't know. Maybe my whole career, or maybe the CISSP that I worked for, or maybe the fact that I worked on this or whatever. And then they would look and they go, okay, yeah, no, you're right. Oh yeah, he's right. Good, cool, right? Or they would be quiet. To me, that silence speaks volumes, because you, again, why do I need to listen to you? Read it, watch it, and then you don't see nothing. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, do me a favor, STFU, go on, stay over there, go on back in your corner and kick rocks.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll add something too. So if you're somebody that posts something on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, and you say something wrong and you can't take somebody coming at you and saying you did something wrong, you won't last in InfoSec. Because I'll be honest with you, I've been called out at my new job a couple times for being wrong on something, where I've said something thinking, hey, I'm contributing to something. And then they come in and they're not rude about it. You know, you're a team, but they let you know, hey, great idea. Love where your head's at. Not the move we want to be making, you know.
Right.
And I've even done it in, so every Monday, or no, every like Tuesday or whatever, we have a big meeting with all of our like IT InfoSec people to kind of keep us all on the same page and talk about stuff that we're, you know, trying to implement. And I was trying to implement some new policy, you know, to increase our security structure and everything. And I had a bunch of people jumping at me, and not, you know, again, not negatively, not in a malicious manner or anything, but they were questioning me. And it was like, it was almost like them testing me, like, how much research did you actually put into this? And I did a fair amount, but some of the questions that they were asking me, I had no answers for. And I sat back, I was like, I don't know. And then it caused me to then go, okay, I don't know everything. I'm getting hit with a lot of questions. It kind of put me in my place. And then I went back and I did more research.
Yeah.
And that's if you, again,
that's a teachable moment.
Exactly. Like, if you cannot take somebody coming at you and questioning what you know, cannot take, you know, the criticism, you will not make it, because you're gonna get hit at it from every corner. I don't give a crap if you're freaking red team, blue team, purple team, yellow team. I don't care what color team you're on. You're gonna get hit with it, because I can guarantee you, and I'm sure you can attest to this, Davin, because you do red team stuff. If you do a pen test somewhere and you go to submit your report, they're gonna question you on it.
Oh hell yeah, they have that's it. Yeah, they have to.
Exactly.
They have
so
to.
they test you on, okay, what did this guy actually do? How much knowledge, you know, does he have pertaining to this specific report, you know? And it tests you on, what did you do? How did you find this?
How'd you come? So,
Yeah.
And again, this is why this goes coming full circle. This is why knowing your shit is important and not just getting paper certified. Right?
100%.
So, case in point, ask anybody. Well, you can't ask anybody because I don't really put my business out there like that. But any company that I've done pen tests for, if I found something, my reputation is I write my proof of concepts to the point where I can hand it to the most non-technical person in that room and say, follow these steps. And if I can get the most non-technical person to exploit or find that vulnerability that I found, how can you dispute it? I'm talking about down to the different flags in my Nmap scans. And not only am I explaining what you're typing, I'm explaining what it's supposed to do, and I'm screenshotting everything. I will have a proof of concept on something where I pop the shell or something like that, and the proof of concept is probably like 10 pages long because you're literally looking at every single screenshot that I've done. Why? Because now, like I said, if I can make you do it, you can't question me about how I got to it. It's right there.
Yeah, you wrote the documentation.
It's literally color by freaking numbers, right? And my report, and I tell people who I mentor, get used to enjoy writing the report. Enjoy it. No one likes to sit there and type sometimes 60, 70 pages. Case in point, another tip, get a really good create a template. So write 2 or 3 long reports and then have a template for everything that, so now this way you just got to plug in the IP addresses or plug in the results of whatever you need to do. Get a template. That, please, it'll save you a lot of time. But enjoy writing reports. Enjoy writing reports to the point where, because now this is your time to shine. And always remember, you're writing the report for like 3 groups of people. You're writing it for the executives who don't care about the technical side. They just want to know how much it's going to cost the company, or can they somehow ignore it and accept the risk. You're writing that's the executive summary. So that's right, the first third of the report, the first maybe 5-6 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Then the middle of the page, this is where you get to the technical side of things. Now this is for the network folks, the sysadmins and whatever, because now you need to break it down, because now you need to prove to them, oh yeah, they really did do the work and not just plug in a Nessus scan or a Qualys scan and plug in the results. By the way, don't do that. Please, for the love of God, unless you want to cut your career as a pen tester short, do not just plug in the results of a vulnerability scan. If you get vulnerabilities in a vulnerability scan, confirm that the vulnerabilities are actually there. Don't tell them that they have a critical level SQL injection and it's not even there. Or you tell them, oh my gosh, I found this critical cross-site scripting and it's literally just a reflect hello. And you can't do nothing with it. Lord, please. I love you. It's coming from a place of love. Do not do it. Anyway, go back to what I was saying. But you write these reports and you're writing it for these audiences. This is what gets you paid. This is what keeps you paid. This is what keeps you securing the bag.
Yeah.
Because especially if you're in the consultant space, you have to show results. And they have to know that that you are who you say you are when you walk into that room. You have to walk out of there feeling confident, with them feeling confident that, okay, yeah, they did their due diligence and we're going to use them again. That's it. So.
Yeah. That's so good. That's really good. Well, real quick, if anybody has any questions, pop them in the chat, and we will be sure to address them. And we'll probably call it here in like 15, maybe 20 minutes. Is that okay with you guys?
I'm good.
Yeah,
I saw one in here earlier. Harley, Infinite Logins had asked me about why did I jump to web apps instead of staying with
yes,
the infrastructure side of things with my Active Directory. The challenge. Honestly, I was terrified. Like when I jumped in, when I did my first web app pen test, I was terrified because when you first learn pen testing, unless you jumped right into web apps, which some people do, I didn't. You learn the network pen testing, infrastructure pen testing. So you learn about doing internal pen tests, external pen tests, whatever, running your scans, the traditional crap. So the first time I got put on a pen test, and it was like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? Burp Suite? What the hell? What? Proxy? What? So how do I run Nmap on this? Right? And it was just a new adventure, and then it literally just became fun. Like it was one thing after another. I just really started to enjoy it, and then when I actually jumped into the AppSec space by accident. this is also where you should also have management and HR work together to know what the hell they're looking for when they put out a job rec. Because I thought I was walking in doing web app pen tests, and I walked in and they were like, "So this is our mobile app, and this is this," and I'm like, "So where's the web app?" They're like, "Haha, silly." What the fuck? It was like, "Wait, what?" And they were like, "Yeah, we have to work on these APIs," and I'm like, "Hey, oh god, what the hell?" And I literally taught myself application testing and web and API testing on the fly. And that's a different beast in itself, because you have to know when the API is doing what it's supposed to do versus when it's doing too much, because APIs are designed to give you a lot of information.
Mm.
Now you have to determine, but because they're designed to give you a lot of information, they inherently give you too much information. So you have, and at that time, API pen testing was new. Like there weren't. I mean, there still aren't a lot of resources out there. And then you have Alyssa Knight, who does a lot of the stuff with hacking connected cars. I actually have her book, but she's a big API pen tester. So I followed her. I followed Inan Shkedi and Erez Yelon. I hope I'm pronouncing your names right, but they created the OWASP API top 10. And I sat there for months just going away at it. Tanya Jenkins, she's another one with the OWASP DevSlop team. Insider PhD, she's another one. I sat there. I like my YouTube watch later save list is probably like hundreds of videos of just anything that I thought would help, right? And then I have, this is just some of the stuff of notes and stuff that I've taken on API security. And then I remember trying to go to my job now and explain to them, you guys are in the wrong space. We got to worry about APIs and this and this. And they never wanted to listen to me until I gave the SANS talk. And all of a sudden it was like, "Hey, Davin, what's your opinion?" Right? It was like, I went like 6-7 months and I'm like, we really need to start implementing we're testing for web app we're testing for web app vulnerabilities on stuff, and we run mainly APIs. We need to test these APIs. We need to test. This is why when we bring third-party pen testers in, they're finding things all the time, and they can't. And when we do in-house stuff, because you're telling them to look for traditional SQL injection vulnerabilities that aren't big in APIs. I know the 2021 OWASP top 10 came out, but the 2017 SQL injection was number 1. On the API top 10, injection attacks are number 8. We got to change our way of thinking. Oh, you're full of crap, blah, 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 blah. Again, justifying my existence. Then SANS approaches me and says, "Hey, we saw your API stuff. We'd love to give you a talk." I give a talk, and now I go into work the next day, and they're like, "Hey, so that API stuff, is that the stuff you were trying to tell us about before?" And it's like, "Dude, kick rocks." But yeah. But yeah, like I said, to me, I like the challenge. I like it being new. I still will mess around with Active Directory pen tests. Like, I every once in a while we'll get put on an infrastructure or network pen test. So I still keep my skills sharp. I mean, that's part of the reason why I got my G pen, right? Because I needed to get back into that world, because it can be two different worlds at times.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. We have, several questions that have kind of come in. One is, what advice do you have for people starting their cybersecurity journey?
Learn what you want to do. There are a lot of jobs in cybersecurity. You don't always have to go into pen testing, even though I'm biased and I will say get into pen testing. But you can learn pen testing. There's red team, blue team, there's purple team, there's AppSec, there's web app, there's network security. Hell, there's Wi-Fi security. Find what works. Find what speaks to you, right? Like I said, pen testing to me, it scratches that side of my brain that makes me want to figure out why things work. And it brings me back to that little boy who was probably doing things that were, now that I think about it, were probably really dangerous. Because like messing with speakers while the power is still on and stuff like that. But it brings me back to that little boy who was tinkering in his grandmother's living room just to figure out how things work. That might not work for other people. So my thing is to do your research and do your due diligence. Don't let someone dictate what path you should go on, because you might jump in and say, hey, I want to be in the pen test, or I say go into pen testing, and you go into pen testing, and then like 6 months in, you're like, man, I hate it. I hate you. I hate everything about you. Why'd you bring me here? I want to do blue team, right? So learn where you want to go. Like for me, it was pen testing or cyber forensics. Like if I could do it all over again, I probably would really look into cyber forensics, because I just like doing the investigations and that whole mindset. So learn what works for you, find the different resources before you spend a dime, right? Or if you have to spend a dime, see if you can get it on Udemy or Cyber or something really cheap before you go and really make a big time investment. Take some of these cheaper courses, or go on Twitter and find the people who are legitimately trying to help and not trying to grift you into buying whatever they're selling, and try to get some advice from them. Pick their brains, ask them, get some, do your due diligence, and then make your determination. You know, you have hell there. You can be a technical writer and make 6 figures just from doing. Man, stop pointing at me, man.
It's so hard to do, actually. Like trying to like get this on camera. I'm just saying, like, follow these two guys. They're great.
But yeah, that would be my advice. And then also just be prepared. Be prepared to do the work. Like again, it's not easy. It is not easy. And don't, please, for the love of God, if you come to me, if you DM me and ask me how you can get 6 figures in 6 months or less, I'm probably going to leave you on red and block you. And for the love of God, do not ask me to hack anybody's social media account.
But can you hack someone? So please just ask.
Golly. Yeah, but seriously, do your due diligence, and just ask around. And that, like I said, I don't like telling people to jump into getting different courses until you know that this is where you want to be for at least the next 18 months to 2 years, because it's going to take you that long to really get comfortable. You might even get a job in the field. You might get a job in the field in 6 to 8 months of preparing, but to get comfortable to the point where you're like, yeah, I'm good here, it's going to take some time. So
Yep.
Be comfortable knowing that you're going to have to commit that time, commit that effort, doing the work and betting on yourself. Because like I said, that shit is lonely, especially when you have a bunch of friends or a bunch of family members who have no idea what tech is or cybersecurity. And you're like, I got to go study. And they're like, yeah, but like that was a lonely stretch of time for me. Again, I had my family right upstairs, in the same house, but I still had friends who wanted to go out. I still had friends who wanted to party. And I'm like, I need to focus on this, because I set these goals for myself to get these certifications. And now I'm to the point now where I'm better off than where I was 10 years ago. I'm not quite there where I want to be yet, but I'm a lot closer to my goal than where I started. So you have to just be prepared for all of it. Like there's a lot of lonely nights. There's a lot of times where you're going to be sitting there looking at a book and the book is reading you more than you're reading it. Right?
Dude, I'm like literally hearing you talk about all this is almost kind of bringing flashbacks from when I, just at the start of this year studied for the Security Plus, because it's, again, like, that's not an easy certification to go after. Like if you're attempting to go after it, you can't have the mindset that I did when I first started studying for. I was like, it's gonna be a breeze. All I gotta do is read a book, know a few key terms, and I'm gonna pass this thing, because that's how I've always passed tests. I memorize stuff and I just go through it. And it was way harder than that.
I got my bachelor's in cybersecurity, and I would have failed if I didn't like spend that time, like those same nights, like studying. Like,
I mean, I can't tell you how many times literally I sat back and I was like, nope, I have to study for 2-3 hours, a night. And I, just like Davin said, like, I had people that were like, hey, let's go out to the bar. Let's have a couple of drinks. Hey, let's go to this party. Let's go do this. And I'm like, I can't play games with you guys. I can't go to the bar. I can't go to these parties. I can't do none of this stuff because I spent my own money paying for this certification. Like, it was, I mean, it's a $350 exam on top of all the other stuff that I bought. So rounded up to 400, like that back then, that was not easy for me to come by.
Right.
So, I spent the time doing it. And then, I had a buddy of mine, everybody might know him as Raven Hacks on Twitter. He was the one that was like kind of pushed me. He's like, hey dude, like you got to make sure you study for this. And I'm going to send you some practice exams on some questions and see how you do on them. And I was like way overconfident. I was like, I got this, dude. And I started taking them. And
you
you
realize, yeah, it humbles you.
I bombed every single one of them. And I like bombed them so bad to the point I was like, okay, buckle down now. Now I'm getting the reality check. I'm postponing the exam 2 weeks out. And for every single day for the next 2 weeks, I'm studying 2 to 3 hours, if not more, and I'm going to pass this.
Yeah.
And again, it was just more and more sacrifice. But if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have gone from help desk to where I am now, doubling my salary. I wouldn't have finally gotten into this industry. Like I wouldn't have. There's so many positives to putting in the hard work, and you will eventually see it. You just have to be willing to do it.
Yeah. No, you do. Like I said, you absolutely have to. And like I said, the resources are out there. You just gotta. It all depends on you. I can't take the test for you. I can tell you what books to read. I can tell you what videos to watch. I can tell you who to follow. But if you're not prepared to really sit down and say, all right, I need to dedicate this time, that's on you, right? That's where the big challenge comes in. That's where the discipline and the always betting on yourself and all of that kicks in. So yeah, that was pretty much it.
I'm gonna jump in here real quick, just to real quick jump on the tail end of that is if you're wanting to learn more about cybersecurity, and you are having a hard time maybe doing that stuff on your own, and you tend to work better with other people or whatever, you want a place that you can go to ask questions, literally join Republic of Hackers. Like that is the whole purpose behind why me and like a bunch of other people created it, because we didn't want the gatekeeping. We didn't want, we saw the racism on Twitter. We saw people, asking questions and not having them answered. Obviously you have to do your own. We want you to do your own research. If you ask us a question that we can Google in 5 minutes, I'm not answering your question because you can go find it. But
do you mind if I pop the invite link in the chat real quick so everyone that's watching can join?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll also put it, if you're watching this on replay, in the description so you can jump right in. The Echo,
but I mean,
it's a phenomenal community.
It's literally the whole reason why we generated it. We've so far helped a couple people get jobs. We have helped a number of people pass certifications everywhere, ranging from OSCP, EJPT. God, I think we've had like 2 or 3 people recently pass the Sec Plus. So I mean, we're literally helping people do this. We hack with you. We do all this stuff. And it doesn't even matter if you're red, blue, or purple. You have a question, we have no problem helping you out. We have a bunch of people on the server that are willing to answer your questions, and they come from all different walks of life.
What he said.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll be, putting the link in the video again. Davin, we got a few more questions. I want to try to make sure that we can hit them. Speed round. This one's more technical, if you're comfortable answering it, because it is a bit more technical and specific. How long do you keep your reports for?
However long the company mandates.
Okay.
Simple as that. Don't make that determination for yourself. Make it whatever company you work for and whoever the client is. Let them figure that out. You once you turn in your report, get it off your hard drive. right? If you need,
that is dictated by like a company policy,
Yeah.
though, right?
If yeah, pretty much. If you need to access it on their network drive. Honestly, every pen test I work on, when I was doing consulting stuff, I back up my image, I do the pen test, and I revert back to the image before the pen test. This way, there's nothing in the memory. If there's any hashes or anything from previous password cracking, all of that is gone because now I didn't revert it back to the original image. Either that or I destroy and rebuild the whole image back up all over again. But I never use the same VM from week to week or month to month on different engagements, because then you run the risk of leaking the wrong information from one client to the other.
That's really good advice, actually. I didn't even think about it, but that's very, very good.
And also, if you get into consultant space, because someone asked this the other day, I think Ty asked this the other day, it's not the same as a CTF. Do not take files off of a corporate production environment machine. Show that you can do it. Show that you have the capability of doing it, but don't do that, because the moment you do that, it turns from a pen test to a data breach.
Yep. You'll get that blue team calling several people.
Like I said, I followed that, and then shout out to Tim Medine from Sands. He actually said if you work for him and you do that, he's firing you on the spot.
As he should.
Yes. What's next for me in InfoSec? I want to get into the teaching space. For the last few years, again, I've been open about it. I've been really struggling about where I fit in the whole cybersecurity realm of things. And at its core, take away the bullshit, take away the gatekeeping, take away the corporate nonsense, take away the toxicity. I love this shit. Again, I'm that little boy, that little 5-year-old boy plugging things up, trying to get things to work and whatever. I love. Now, when you start adding all those other things, that's where it starts to get a bit murky for me. And also, again, going back to what I said before, this literally changed probably my life trajectory. Right? I'm able to do things now for my children that weren't available to me. Not because of a lack of trying, but this field literally has provided a different lifestyle for my family because of the work that I've put in. And if I can help somebody achieve that without running into some of the walls or pitfalls that I had to, and I can get them to that and pull them from wherever they are and build them up, to me, if it's one person, I feel like I've done a lot. So that's where the teaching side of it comes in. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I'm being real, it's the InfoSec Twitter side that I think is holding me back from making those steps, because you have so many people who are criticizing or trying to question your authenticity for it. Like I think I said it last week when I was talking to JB. Like I'm probably sitting on like 2-3 ebooks and maybe I have like notepads of course material that I just won't put out, or that because of that same reason. So it's like, I don't know. Ideally, like I said, I would like to get into the teaching space. If not, I don't know. We'll see. I feel like I have about 4 or 5 years left before I make my next power play, whatever that may be.
Well, sign me up first thing, as soon as you get into the teaching space, because I'm in.
Appreciate it.
If you posted any questions, apologies, we won't be able to get to it tonight. But Davin, and this is if you're cool with it, maybe we can do a part 2, and we can save the questions and we'll jump right back into it.
I mean, how many more trees should we shake?
Let's
Oh, we got a whole forest. Let's go.
It's not winter time, and I know that the leaves are going to fall off for winter, whatever, but they'll grow back, and we can shake the leaves off again. So
let's do this. You're showing up on Infosec Unplugged in December. Make your ass on the show too, right? And
brother, you just say when.
and if we have something, if you have an availability lined up between now and then, let's do it again.
Let's do it. This is good stuff. I really appreciate you jumping on. All of you guys, watching, thank you so much for joining in. The comment section has been absolutely popping. It's been, we kicked it off strong and it's been good. So I really appreciate all of it. This is actually an interesting question, and this is kind of a bit more light and less technical. What holidays are the worst for things going on? I guess, like, what are the least busy holidays? Maybe
when you say for the worst, you mean as far as attacks now, because it's the holiday season, so the phishing attacks are going to ramp up, the fake gift card attacks are going to ramp up. Yeah, holiday emails. Cryptos is sexy right now, so people are going to try to. I'm anticipating a lot of people trying to get fished out of their Christmas money for fake crypto schemes and fake NFTs and all of that. So it's going to be a real ugly winter in the cybersecurity space. That's my my educated guess.
Yeah, I would say the same.
Beware of phishing, and I mean, and it happens anytime there's a big breach too. Is people will start trying to phish, like, oh, your data got breached. Come, check here to check if your data, and it's like, yeah, that's totally a malware dropper. That's exciting.
Yeah. And with all everybody getting smart devices or little toy robots and AIs, like, honestly, take it out the box, plug it up, or put the batteries in, and the first thing you need to do is change the damn default passwords.
Yeah,
like, seriously.
And Eric Bellardo just posted a video about the Robinhood breach, which I was seeing some rumblings about it before I left for the gym this afternoon. But
third party vendor, right? I believe it was because of a third party.
Was it? I'll have to look into it. I saw some rumors. Went to the gym, came here for the stream. Yeah, I'll probably watch Eric's video here in a bit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I know people are probably going to start, sending out phishing emails like, hey, are you a Robinhood customer? Don't lose your money. And Robinhood, I guess, it came out with a statement saying that no money was lost in the breach, but
no money. But again, who needs money if I have a list of email addresses?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's for like the attacker to go back with the email, do a phishing attack, and then start stealing money, right? On the back end.
Okay, there you go. 5 million accounts. So out of 5 million accounts, if we say 20% of that 5 million are successful or get successfully phished, that's 1 million people.
It's a lot of money.
That's 1 million people going to get out. That's going to lose access to their accounts.
Yeah.
Email addresses of 5 million. Oh, so I'm just gonna wait. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wait for that list to go public somewhere, and I'm just gonna download it for my credential stuffing attack.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and the greatest defense, especially against Robinhood anything, is hold AMC, right? And not financial advice. Anyway, I'm definitely going to have to bounce. Gents, if you don't mind staying after for just a second. Again, thank you everybody for jumping on. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Yes. Infosec Unplugged Thursdays.
Yes.
I'm back. This Thursday I will have Hacker Valley Studios on as my guest. So we're going to have a great conversation. We were just talking about crypto. So we're going to talk about ownership of your own content, leveraging it, because that's what they did. Shout out to them. Like, they are literally trendsetters in my eyes as far as what they did with their podcast and how they were able to leverage it into a job where they get to keep their stuff and do what they want and still own their stuff. And now they have other ventures. So tune in Thursday for that. If you guys haven't done so already, please follow and subscribe. We're trying to build this up. Like I told you, my goal, my next goal is to get on Twitch's list of streamers for the next time they get leaked.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Boy, that'd be awesome. And I have a link to the YouTube channel down in the video description. So definitely drop a sub. There's some awesome content, awesome interviews as well, especially people that we've been talking about here on this stream.
Yeah, there'll be more content coming soon. I'm gonna get back into some of the technical stuff, and I know you're short on time, but like Makeshift was talking about the video games and stuff that he missed. Like I have like a pile of games that I haven't gotten to, and I'm literally gonna make a stream of that. Like games that I've missed out in my career. So you're gonna see, like, I think the first game I'm probably gonna do is like I'm gonna finish up Batman Arkham Knight. I'm gonna finish up, like, I got XCOM. Yeah, I got I got Final Fantasy. So I'm gonna be streaming all of those. So you know, I as soon as we get some time.
For sure. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and hide you guys. And everybody, thank you again for watching. It's just been an absolute blast. Definitely, like if this was, a good stream, definitely share it out so you can get some friends to watch it. And, of course, subscribe. It's always a good thing. So have a good Monday, everybody. And we will see you all next time.